relation is so blatant and so obvious. Now I'll be ready to answer some more questions about the breakdown in the finances and about the legal cases later, but I think it's better if we give the floor to Bernd. Julian.
This is Bernd Fix from the Val Holland Foundation. He is one of the Val Holland Foundation is a German charity that has, how many years has it been? Founded in 2003 to promote access to knowledge on the internet and through other means in memory of the German philosopher Val Holland. Bernd has a personal story also. Although he is merely a voluntary board member of this German charity and lives in Zurich, early this year, his security work contract with the stock exchange in Switzerland was cancelled under the basis that he oversaw a charity which sometimes provided funding to Wikileaks, an extremely indirect connection, and he has lost that important contract. And that's a story that is repeated for many of our supporters and organizations, this censorship beneath the surface as a result of patronage and political fear of retribution from these powerful finance companies or from elements within the US national security complex.
Thank you. Just to make clear, there was never any allegations. There were never any allegations or investigations that I did something wrong, not other members of the board, nor the foundation itself. So it's all based on non-legal activities. Okay, so just a few words about the foundation. We have been founded, as you heard, in 2003, and since 2009, we are one of the financial backers of WikiLeaks, because the goals of the foundation and the goals of WikiLeaks do directly match. We both support the freedom and the free flow of information. We are opposing censorship, and we promote the free speech and other cyber rights on the internet. So for us as the foundation, it was no question to support the work of WikiLeaks that we find very necessary in the world that we live in. So we set up possibilities for donors worldwide to support WikiLeaks by sending donations to the foundation. So basically most of this money you saw there was tunneled over the foundation. So we had a PayPal account that was cancelled in the beginning of December. So the first 3 days in December, there were approximately 102,000 euros coming in through the PayPal channel. And then PayPal blocked our account. They actually said they will freeze the account with the remaining money for another 180 days. So we will not have access to the money for 180 days, which was unacceptable for us. So we sent out a lawyer to PayPal, and they then released the money within a few hours. But it didn't stop there. We were put on the interdiction list of Western Union, just like WikiLeaks itself. So no money transfer through Western Union can end up on our bank account. And as you see, the average donation has dropped in the year 2011. So we know that if nothing unexpected happens for the last 2 months of this year, we will have about 70,000 euros of donation money coming in for WikiLeaks, compared to the 1.4 million of last year. That's roughly 5%. So there is a 95% loss in revenue. But there's another side story as well. In the beginning of December, the German tax authorities, because we as a charitable foundation are subject to supervision by tax and regulation authorities in Germany that ask if we send out money to WikiLeaks. And after confirming that, we were under an investigation, which is quite normal in the three-year cycle. But this investigation started in the middle of such a cycle, so it is unusual to have that investigated. And a decision about our charitable status is pending for now more than 10 months. Losing a charitable status will mean that we will lose money additionally to that, because we will have to pay taxes on our work or on the money that we are processing. So I think everything shows that that even the Holland Foundation, which was never been subject to any investigation because of wrongdoings, is actually cut off from its work, and we simply don't think we have done anything wrong. Thank you.
So I think how we'll handle this, we'll field some questions now about this subject, and for some 15 or so minutes, and then we'll move on to the next subject.
Philip Williams from ABC Australia. Why have you decided to suspend publication, given that's your reason for being, and that some would say, well, that's conceding defeat? Is it because you simply can't afford to keep going at the moment, or is there another reason?
If WikiLeaks does not find a way to remove this blockade, given our current levels of expenditure, we will simply not be able to continue by the turn of the new year. So we have decided to redirect the vast majority of our staff resources into knocking down the blockade, because if we don't knock down the blockade, we simply will not be able to continue. We are working on other issues. We have over 100,000 pending publications, so other parts of the organisation are running smoothly, but it is a reality, although that we are an extremely efficient media organisation by world standards, and indeed a very efficient maker of change by world standards, that we can't do it with no revenue at all. Fortunately, we have been in a position to be able to survive on cash reserves for almost a year. There are not many media organisations that are in such a position to be able to survive entirely, almost entirely, on cash reserves for nearly a year.
Hello. About a year ago, you gave an interview to, I think it was Forbes magazine, saying that you were going to take down a bank or two because you had all this stuff from banks. And what's ever happened to that material? From what I saw, you accused Daniel Domscheit-Berg of destroying 5.4 gigabytes worth of banking-related material, but Daniel Domscheit-Berg said, no, he didn't destroy that. He destroyed some other stuff that came in after that. And you still have that stuff. What is your situation regarding materials belonging to banks? And number two, second question is, has WikiLeaks put out anything of significance since the Guantanamo files earlier this year? If you haven't, and I'm not aware that you have, why are you saying you're suspending your activities publication now? Didn't you really do that de facto a few months ago?
In Forbes magazine reported that we were working on a pending release of banking material. That was widely attributed to be about the Bank of America, causing a over 2% swing in the bank's shareholdings. In response, the Bank of America commissioned a crisis team to engage in a counterattack. That crisis team appears to have led to the hiring this year or late last year of Hunton and Williams, a very large Washington-based firm, to commission 3 intelligence contractors to attack and smear our organization and supportive journalists and lawyers.
What's the relevance of that? What does that have to do with your assertions that you're going to publish stuff from banking documents? Explain to us what happened to those assertions. What is the relevance of that?
So you'll get your time if you are polite. Yeah. As a result, so that shows you the environment and the fear that Bank of America had. The material itself, it is correct that we had material on Bank of America, although we have material on every country and many banks. The material itself was in the custody of a WikiLeaks employee we suspended in August last year. We engaged in an 11-month legal negotiation to try and retrieve custody of that material. At this stage, the mediator pulled out, and why we still have hopes of regaining custody of that material at this stage, it is not. At this stage, we do not believe, unfortunately, that we will regain that material, which is a great loss.
Thank you. When you mentioned that you may, sorry, Esther Adley from The Guardian, when you mentioned that you may not be able to continue after the new year if this fight doesn't take place now, is this a sort of existential moment for WikiLeaks? Could WikiLeaks be out of business in the new year if that weren't to happen? And if that's the case, why have you waited until now to challenge these boycotts, given that they've been in place for 10 months?
We have been looking into the possibilities and the ways to counterattack this blockade in legal means. It has taken quite a bit of time, and it's also quite expensive. Lawyers are not free. So we have also decided to focus on the first point of our defense or counterattack, if you may call it, through the complaint to the European Commission, which we have a strong hope that will result in a formal investigation and hopefully an injunction order from Brussels next month. So this has simply taken time. We have, of course, been focusing on the ongoing projects. It is throughout this year. I mean, we have been forming an alliance with almost 100 media in more than 50 countries. We are not a big organization, so that has taken all our resources, a lot of our resources at this time. So that is the reason why this is taken. But I have to admit that I never thought more than 10 months ago that we would be in the position today that this would still be in place. I could understand that under the political pressure and in the frenzy and the hysteria that was we were seeing at the end of November, beginning of December, that the financial companies would bow to that pressure. But I never believed in my heart that they would keep this in place for all this time. I thought, and I don't know if you agree, Julian, this would be a contemporary thing. When more and more legal points came out showing how absurd this is. I mean, this is unprecedented. You will not find a single example of a banking blockade towards an organization like this. It is totally outrageous. And it should be of a great, it is, in my opinion, the greatest attack that we have had in the last year and a half since we began the high exposure publications beginning April 5th last year. Because it's not